Hey everybody, and welcome to Growth Insights number 10. Excited about this episode. We have a lot more tools than we usually do. This episode is going to be a little bit longer than they usually are. I promise you that the next episode will come in a much shorter amount of time. Let's kick it off. We've been obsessed with LinkedIn for the past year, so let's kick off with some LinkedIn automation tools. Thanks to Quinton for this one. We've tried a lot of LinkedIn automation tools, and we talked about Duck Soup a couple weeks ago. This new one is even simpler to use. With Meet Leonard, you simply select your search criteria, age, name, industry, job position, geography, and then you can auto-connect with people. It's free to use until February 2018, so jump on it and find out if you like it. And of course, don't abuse it or you'll get blocked by LinkedIn. Now, if you want to build your own personalized, customized automations, we've talked a lot about tools like AFTTT or Zapier. Well, here's a new one. Tampermonkey is a tool that will allow you to build automations on your computer without a single line of code with a very, very simple interface. It's especially interesting to have a look at the large library of scripts that they have available, so you can build your automations, use available automations, and show off to your developer friends. Jim let us know that Facebook Messenger now offers a live chat function. It's actually pretty powerful, and one click is enough to keep engaging with people after they chatted you for a first time. Think of the implications. You no longer need to grab email addresses. Once they start chatting with you, you're then on their Facebook Messenger feed and you can continue the conversation. Speaking of Facebook Messenger, this one shared by Mehdi a while back is actually pretty sweet. If you have a Shopify e-commerce store, you can actually now retarget customers directly in Facebook Messenger if they abandon a cart. Last time we talked to Mehdi, this had increased his conversion rate on people who abandoned carts by 13%. Now this one is specifically for Shopify, but as we mentioned in one of the earlier episodes, you can also do this on any website. The one we mentioned last time was getshopbot.me. Speaking of chats, did you know that something like 98% of chatbots are not even bots? They're just conversational interfaces with decision trees. Yes, no, this or that. Now those decision trees, although simple, they take a lot of time to build. So thanks to Ferdinand for sharing this pre-made collection of chatbot templates. So if you're thinking of testing a conversational onboarding on your site, maybe a conversational lead generation on your site, a little bit like we do on our site, and you don't want that experiment to take too long to set up, this can be great for an MVP. They've got all sorts of templates, lead generation, travel bookings, and even ordering cake. Now while we're still at the top of the product funnel, of the sales funnel, we know that user onboarding is one of the most powerful ways of getting people to engage with your product. How do you improve onboarding? Usually through some usability testing. Now traditionally, usability testing is very simple to do on desktop, but it's been much more difficult to do it on iPhone. Why? Because it was impossible to record the screen of your iPhone. You would actually have to film their screen with an external camera, which meant that typically we couldn't do this remotely. So some exciting news is that with the new iOS, this has changed. You can now directly record your Apple screen and make a little video out of it. You can see how somebody engages with your platform, your website, your product, or your app directly on their device. What's even better is you can also record their voice as they use the interface and as they think out loud about what they're feeling when they use your product. Now, if you're on desktop doing usability testing, the big craze in 2017 was screen recordings. Our favorite tool for that is Hotjar. However, here's another cheaper alternative that you might want to try that only costs 17 bucks per month. It's called SmartLook, and thanks to Ferdinand for sharing this. 2017 was also the year where growth marketeers, growth people worked hand in hand with product teams. It feels like we're slowly dissolving the line between marketing and product. Marketing and product are no longer two different things. Now, if you want to get more into the brain of people who build great products, it's interesting to look at their frameworks. What are the models and processes that they use to build great products? Thanks to Peter for sharing this great resource called Product Frameworks, where you're actually going to go under the hood of how some of the best products in the world have been built. Here are some of my favorites. What's funny is that you'll see that a lot of the processes that are used are actually very similar to what's described in the amazing book Lean UX. Now, speaking of products, if you're thinking of taking the step and actually becoming a developer, we've actually got some pretty interesting insights for you about those coding boot camps that are sprawling around the world. Sir.org shared some very interesting data to make it transparent what you can actually expect after you join one of these boot camps. We were surprised to see that the salaries we had expected after these boot camps were a bit lower than we thought, and the number of people finding jobs was also lower. And if, like most of us, you don't have time to do a boot camp, maybe this will help. Learn the basics of JavaScript through a small video game. Now let's talk a little bit about machine learning. 5-6 months ago, we actually developed the world's first AI course for non-coders. Yes, that's actually possible, and people come out of that course with a completely different brain. It's like they're a completely different person. They see new opportunities. Now, our course is specifically focused on machine learning for marketing and growth. We found that one blocker was people don't really know what the applications of artificial intelligence and machine learning are for marketing and growth. So in light of this, we've just released a maturity chart. This will allow you to see which applications of AI and machine learning in marketing and growth are the most mature, less mature, and even less mature. Which are the first steps that you should take if you want to implement it in your strategy or in your organization? The link is in the description. As usual, have a look. And if, like Bernardo, you want to take things one step further to understand what are the recent developments of AI in marketing and growth, check out this report. In it, you'll discover that more people are taking machine learning courses than ever. Computer-powered speech recognition has just reached human level, which might not sound like it, but that's a really big deal. It means that human speech is becoming a new data source that AI can use. And the number of jobs requiring AI is growing like crazy. But back to simpler things. Here's a really nice nifty tool developed by Unbounce and shared by Ferdinand. Ferdinand's really on fire this time. It's called the Landing Page Analyzer. We always think these are a bit gimmicky, but the results here were quite interesting and they allowed us to make some quick modifications to our pages. Simply put your landing page URL and it will give you some recommendations on improvements that can be made. Some of them are really fast recommendations. This has been one of my personal favorites as I've been working on so much content recently. This Chrome extension allows you to, when you type in a search on Google, see the actual number of searches that keyword gets and how much it would cost as a cost per click on AdWords. The point here is that you no longer need to go into the keyword planner. It's directly in your Google search. Very useful if you're in anything regarding content or search. Speaking of Google, Yob has brought back an old friend. We all know the power of Google Display Network when it comes to retargeting. Have you ever heard of Google Web Designer? It's a little gem that's actually been in beta for many years now. It will simply allow you to create Google Display Network ads directly in its interface, create some small animations, and then export them directly in all the different formats you need for GDN. If you're doing any display, check it out. Really simple to use. Speaking of GDN, Google Display Network, we do a lot of retargeting on GDN. We needed benchmarks at some point to know if we were doing good or not, and we found them. In this gallery, you'll find some beautiful GDN benchmarks per country. Okay, let's talk a little bit about cold emailing. Before sending out a cold email campaigns, maybe on leads that you got on anyleads.com, make sure to first run those emails through zero bounce. It will allow you to check emails for hard bounces at a very reasonable price. Still on the subject of cold emailing, we usually use Yesware and Mixmax to send very small campaigns directly from our Gmail accounts. The problem is that we pay quite a big amount for Yesware and Mixmax tends to put logo in the emails. So a new alternative found by Ferdinand is called Mailcaster, a simple free solution to track when your emails are open and seen that you can send directly from your Gmail account. Now, cold emailing is going to take a serious hit in Europe in May 2018. We talked about GDPR in one of our very first episodes. It's kind of hard to navigate, so we've actually created a whole video around it to see what the implications are for you as growth or marketeers. Okay, now for another subject. Sometimes we like, or the people we teach like, to run experiments off-brand. So sometimes you're thinking of a new feature or a new product, you don't want to hurt your core brand, so you actually need to create a sub-brand or a fake brand or a fictional brand on the side to test that value proposition. Test whether people would even want that value proposition. Now, when you build a fictional brand, you usually need to build a fictional logo, a fictional brand name, and a fictional identity. So now I want to share some tools that allow us to build that identity in a very short amount of time. For the font of the name and the logo, there's a really cool tool called Logo Joy. I actually built some identities in like 60 seconds. And here's another one shared by Paolo called Tailor Brands. This one's really cool and I love all the beautiful mock-ups. It makes it feel like it's been designed by a real designer. Now, if you actually go one step further and you need to build a website, you probably need a color palette. ColorMind is used to inspire you, give you some color palettes, and the best thing of all is they'll actually show you real time how that color palette will be applied to a website. How it will look on the text, how it will look in the background, how it will look on the different sections. Okay, and I'll go out on a limb. If your fictional company actually works so well that you want to turn it into a real company, you're going to need a company culture. Here's a great collection shared by Stefan where you can see the actual culture decks from some of the most powerful tech startups in the world. Okay, and still on the subject of culture and design, here's a really nice collection shared by Stefan again. These are nice links that you might want to bookmark as they're very large collections of designer assets and resources. Finally, one of our favorite scraping tools, Scrapely, has a bunch of really cool new features. You can now scrape LinkedIn groups, LinkedIn searches, Facebook groups, Facebook page likers. You can scrape Product Hunt post upvoters or even Quora topic followers.